But why people don't digest food, whether it's fats, proteins, or carbs, it's not because of the carbohydrate or because of the fat. It's because the person's unhealthy. And what will heal that person, by God's grace, is food. Healthy amounts, healthy times, healthy rest, healthy hydration. Everyone wants to throw someone on some pill, some doctor that knows nothing. Chrissy tells us all the time, these doctors, you know how much nutritional training they take in their 3 years of medical education? Now it's zero.
It is amazing the opportunities that you guys have to stay injury-free, or if you do get injured, to come back from it much better. There's ways to retain your hair, better skin, better connective tissue. Yes, you can also lose fat and you can also build muscle, but for me, you kids that are learning about this stuff, something I didn't have as a kid, peptides, they are freaking amazing. They're the hugest thing right now. But I need you guys to be smart about this and work with a company that is guaranteed to bring you the real stuff, because I don't want you going on the internet and finding some fake stuff. Talk to Transcend. My link is right here for you guys to get a hold of Transcend and talk to them about the possibilities for better skin, fat loss, building muscle, retaining your hair, and so much more. And this is, again, like I said, an opportunity I didn't have as a youngster. So think about how much better you guys will be than I ever could be. Have a great day today. Let's get back to the show. See that football helmet? That set some world records. But the guy today wore a football helmet, but he made a lot of money wearing it. I just broke a world record. We got my boy Heath Evans, who won a Super Bowl with the Saints, played with the Patriots, played with the Seahawks. And got a Super Bowl with, like I said, New Orleans Saints. He is a savage. Played 10 years in the NFL, went on to the NFL Network for a long period of time. And the thing I like about Heath is that he and I had very similar young teenage years. The way that our parents, my dad and his dad, fed us, how we grew up in the sports world, and how our discipline for health and fitness and training started in very young ages, both very junior high school times. And this is going to be somebody else's point of view on how he ate and I ate at that age that set us up to where I can do this today. So hopefully you guys are here with an open mind to listen to somebody talk about this. And we're going to try to give you our insight on how nutrition, food itself, is medicine, and it can set you up to win, or it can do the reverse. It could set you up to fail. All right, let's go with Heath Evans, my boy. Let's bring him on. So I got you on today to really see if you can dissect and communicate the point of views I was trying to make. And I think a lot of people missed them. And so it'd be great to get somebody's point of view from you, being a coach to these kids out there that you've worked with in the athletic world. And so I think sometimes, because it's coming from me, people still think, even though I retired from bodybuilding 30 years ago, they think I'm a bodybuilder in a sense. And so that when I talk nutrition or talk training, it is solely for you to become Mr. Universe. And that's never been the case for me, regardless of how I've trained throughout my life. And so I really wanted to bring you on because I know that we had so many similarities. Just identical. It felt like when we talked about this, I grew up in your house and you grew up in mine, kind of thing. Yeah. On how our dad.
I was just much more obedient than you. I never had to sleep in the garage because I was a bad kid with newspapers. You know what I mean? Covering up with the Kirkland Times.
The Kirkland Times. This man is just okay. Well, there's some inside information. Yes, but the great thing about it is how we utilize puberty. And this also goes through not just to that growth spurt that all kids have. And how we utilize that time. But you worked with somebody, Jordan Rubin's son.
Yeah.
And he was past that. You never pass that puberty until you're out of your 20s and so, but he was out of the growth spurt a bit.
Yeah.
And you still added so much size and strength to this kid to where he just got, if I'm correct to say this, he just got accepted, right? Or he just chose his college.
Yeah, he's going to UAB, which is University of Alabama, Birmingham, Division I football there in the South. Trent Dilfer, the former Super Bowl winning head coach, just took the head coaching job there. For those of you that don't know Jordan Rubin, most of y'all will know Garden of Life. Garden of Life was the #1 organic brand in nutrition world for years. Jordan sold that. Nestle now owns it. It's gone downhill. Don't buy it anymore. But now he owns Ancient Nutrition. Mike and I have taken a lot of his products, especially the bone broth, the collagen protein.
Still do.
Yeah, me too. I've got about 8 or 9 bottles in the pantry right now. But his son, Joshua, Jordan came to me 3 years ago. Joshua was about 160 pounds. Jordan wouldn't mind me saying this, but in the athletic realm, Joshua had what Mike and I have athletically in our pinkies. Joshua is not a gifted athlete. He's not a gifted physique. His genetic coding.
Let me stop you for a second because I want them to really understand why we're going to talk about this individual.
Yeah.
And then we can go into how we were raised. So just so that you guys can watch this. And this show today is obviously it's the Michael O'Hearn show here on Generation Iron, but it is for you parents. It is for you youngsters that want to be athletes or just want to build muscle and strength. What we're going to talk about today is essential for you to have an open mind and listen to what we're saying here because it's two guys that have done it at the most pinnacle level in the world. And then we're passing that on to youngsters that are now doing it. And they're achieving such greatness beyond their genetic ability.
Yeah.
Okay, continue, please.
Yeah, I was saying Joshua is not an athletic specimen, but he's become one. So 3 years ago, we start this journey. Mike, the first time I put him on the 40 time, Jordan flew me into Nashville, Tennessee. I take Joshua out to the grass because I don't want to put him on some rubber track that's going to enhance his time. I want to get a legit 40 time. Most of the time we play football on grass, so let's get our 40 time on grass. It was over 6 seconds. So a good competitive 40 time for a kid that is 14 years of age, getting ready to enter high school, somewhere probably on like an NFL time, like I'm at a time, very strict, very thorough. I was hoping he was going to run a 5.3, 5.2 on my time. Well, he ran like 6.08, 6.1s. I mean, it was bad. He was flat-footed. And I don't mean flat-footed like he has no arch in his foot. He just ran like it was heel toe. There was no glute strike in the ground.
He was jogging that thing.
Right. I mean, there was a lot of just deficiencies that we had to overcome. The benefit that you and I both know that Joshua, 14-year-old, had from being in his home with his father was he had some of the best nutritional protocols in the world. We literally just wrapped up our week 6 of an 8-week cycle after Joshua just won his second state championship back-to-back there in Nashville. And we've been training 3 years. We have not hit a plateau. Not once. Not on a high box step up, not on his high incline, not on his military, not on his single leg squat, not on his back squat, not on his front squat, nothing. I pushed this kid in such a way that I'm not sure any athlete has ever been pushed consistently for 3 years with limited rest time because of the way, he recovers and the food that he gets. Joshua has ability to get things that you and I didn't have. But the same methodology that you and I use because our dads were kind of force feeding us in calories, taking advantage of our hormone panel at 14, 15, 16. We achieved results that most people don't have because we suffered well in the food department. We stuffed ourselves to oblivion, and we had this caloric intake to pull from, to recover from. Most kids, most adults, men and women have no clue how to eat that way, and so they don't get results like you've got like I've got, or Joshua Rubin, someone who's not as talented as us, has gotten consistently over the last 3 years. I sent you that video yesterday. What, 281.5
Yep.
on a high incline or regular incline, excuse me, for 7 reps. He's 17, right? What's his one rep incline?
You know, he could do, so just for you listening, so he's 17. He's not genetically gifted, so get that out of your heads, guys. He could easily do a 315 incline at 17, which is great because it's irrelevant what he does on the flat bench to me, but that's impressive because most bodybuilders, and I'm talking IFBB, top of the league, most of them can't do a 315, and we're talking about a 17-year-old kid here. So again, it's great. I don't want you to go into nutrition yet because that's really one of the big things I want to go into today, because I know that you and I don't think you wrestled, correct?
No, didn't
You
have
were
it, didn't have it in my school.
You were football.
And basketball.
Okay.
And I ran track because I got to get out of class early and go to the track meet, so I get to skip 6th and 7th period.
Okay. So that's fair enough. The reason why I say this is I grew up at this school that was wrestling and football, and I didn't like the idea of wrestling.
Juanita High.
Rebels, the Rebels. But I never dieted in a deficit during my puberty days, unless it was 3 months for a bodybuilding show. And then right back out of that, right back into a caloric intake, surplus of calories. And I'm going to play a video for you. And I think people get confused, or before I do the video, this is one of the main reasons you're going to be able to say something to these kids that's going to click, because they've heard me over and over talk about this stuff. But I think you have a new voice to this, and this will click for them. What do you take from this video? I ate every 2 hours, but I ate a higher fat, higher carb diet and a good amount of protein back then. But I'd always eat every class. First period, before second period, eat a peanut butter and jam sandwich. Next, chocolate milk. Tons of pasta, tons of tuna fish. I would mix the pasta with whole eggs and tuna fish. And then I'd have a bucket. They used to do margarine in these big yellow buckets. And the Tupperwares today, that margarine Tupperware were my Tupperwares. And so I'd go, and my dad got me a cooler, and we'd leave it at school. They were great with me there, and I just go between class, grab a meal, boom, boom, boom. If I'm extra hungry, peanut butter sandwich, and I'd have about 3 a day, plus some chocolate milk. All right, so you kind of know this story because we lived together for quite a while as well, and we've talked about our teenage years. And to me and you, that seemed like that's what the kids should be doing. We were playing football. We were, and when I say we were playing football, not only were we playing football, but we were going to work out after that. Then we were hanging with our friends and still working out. And then, it's like you're young, you're 13, you're 14, 15, 16, 17 years old. Our caloric intake, I don't know what a surplus technically really is at that stage. Our hormones are going, we grew inches in height, and we were so active. But now some society goes, that's not healthy eating. And I'm like, well, I think what happens is you have so many Instagram experts or nutrition experts in their world talk about this is how you should eat, chicken and broccoli. You should be if you're in a surplus, it should be 50 to 100 grams, 100 calories over whatever that is. Well, that's a beautiful statement. It's a beautiful statement. It really is. But the concept of that for a young kid growing, that's so misleading. It's
uneducated, right?
It really is. It's one of those things where you're educated. Okay, don't think education is intelligence, because I know a lot of guys educated that are ignorant. Yeah. And for us, it set us up for a lifetime. Those years set you up to play 10 years in the NFL. It set me up to do a lifetime of health and fitness. Mm-hmm. So can you give another side of that, and because I ate what I just told you how I ate as a youngster. Yeah. This man did the same. And then the kid we're going to talk about did 2 folds.
Oh gosh. Yeah. Well, Joshua's in a worldly term, his calories have been a lot more consistently clean. But when we say twofold, it might be threefold. I mean, his diet these next 2 weeks, Mike, that I have him on, Joshua is going to be taking in almost 10,000 calories a day that Jordan and I have him on, right?
Can you give some of the foods that he's eating?
Well, most everything right now is derived from water buffalo. What Jordan has figured out is the caloric density from proteins, carbs, fats, the digestibility of what we're getting meat from a water buffalo compared to even just normal bison, compared to the greatest of fillets or sirloin. We are tapping into a nutrient density that we haven't known before. And what we're seeing is normally, because we haven't hit plateaus, each day when I go through up his next weight for the next training day, like I'm pushing numbers like you and I would have dreamt to have pushed, right? Like there is not a workout that goes by that most of the time in his cumulative sets, if he has 6 sets of incline bench, every set is going to increase 5 pounds from the week before, and he does not miss. Today, I increased a couple of his incline reps, 7.5 pounds instead of 5, because Jordan and I are really trying to stretch. Hey, this water buffalo milk, these duck eggs, this water buffalo meat, what type of advantage is it giving Joshua, even over from what we've known in the past? You and I had PB&J. We had turkey sandwiches. We had white grain pasta. You're eating tuna. My dad's throwing me burgers from Costco that were in the frozen section, sending me to.
I forgot how much younger you are than me. We didn't have Costco at that time.
Although it was birthed there in Kirkland.
Right.
But so like I didn't know anything about tuna, right? Dad was just trying to get calories on me. Calories. You're hitting wrestling weights and on stage weights. I was having to lose weight so I could even play football on Saturday because I was just bigger than everyone. And I was already playing 2 years older than me. And so they weren't letting me going to play 2 levels up. So I'm having to run around in a trash bag every Saturday morning to try to lose weight to make weight. And then Dad's giving me a Reese's peanut butter cup to give me some energy back. We didn't know anything.
I've learned a lot over the 4 decades of health and fitness and being in the trenches with the greatest in the world. And one of those things I've learned a lot more about and how to build better muscle is nutrition and how it has changed over the decades. And that's why I have the Titan meal plan for you guys out there that are confused about nutrition. I'm going to set you straight. Get a hold of me today. The link will be in the comments down below for you guys. Everybody, get over to the Titan meal plan, and I'll see you in the Titan crew where I will fine tune any difficulties that you're having. I want people to understand that you don't need to eat what Jordan's son is doing.
Right.
Obviously, I did not have that. I'm a couple decades older than this young man here, but I had whole eggs. I had the meats. I had tuna. I had pasta. And again, it goes back to the point of which some of the people are going to hear is that you only need to put a little bit above. That way you gain just the lean muscle. Understand that it's a lot harder to gain muscle than fat. We know this. And so there is a ratio of 1 pound of muscle to 3 pounds of fat is okay. And a lot of people at the elite level are okay with that in the off season, because if they can cut 5 to 10 pounds of muscle in a year, which is a lot, that is a great benefit. And you can get rid of the fat and just try to retain that muscle when you diet back down. But that comes from caloric intake. And again, it doesn't come from tight roping it and going, well, my body burns 3,000, so I'm going to go 3,200. If you want to do it that way, in no way am I saying not to, but understand body weight is body weight. And so when it comes to when I was wrestling or anything like that, or any just 280-pound kid to a 200-pound kid, I got to be able to put weights on my back that most kids could not. I squatted 600 at 15 years old. I won the state championship 3 years in a row in powerlifting. But to understand, to do the 600 and the dead to 600 at such a young age, it was because of the body weight. And I was continuously getting under that weight, which helps build muscle and makes that muscle more dense and makes that body used to that kind of weight. So when I did diet down and do teenage nationals at almost 220 pounds as a 17-year-old kid, this is bodybuilding. That's bodybuilding size 220 on stage at teenage nationals. that food helped me get to that level. And I want people to understand that as a parent, don't diet them down like a bodybuilder, chicken and rice and cauliflower rice, even, or
Yeah.
broccoli, when they're going through a growth spurt or in that young teenage years, or even in your young 20s. I think you guys should be able to eat, and you don't need to eat like what Heath is saying. This, I can't afford that kind of food today.
Well, and you can't even find that stuff. Jordan
Yeah.
has a farm in Missouri with thousands of acres, and he's buying and raising more and more water buffalo every day because he wants to do so many things through food. We want to take kind of what we're doing with Joshua and expand it for future athletes. But here's the deal. Your 3-to-1 ratio is right for the books. That's what they say. You put on 3 pounds of fat, 1 pound of muscle. This is a clean ball. Bull crap. When I was 14, right? My first 2 games on JV, I'm hurting too many kids on JV, so they make me go to varsity. I'm the starting running back on varsity.
That's a great way to get varsity, just so you know. The kid's hurting people. Put them on the starting.
So at 14, I'm playing against 18-year-olds. And Dad, we get done, have a decent freshman year. But hey, you got to put on some weight playing with the big boys now. During basketball season, right? So you mentioned our kind of daily schedule. My first period at school, weight training, right? 50 minutes, right? Basketball practice, right? And then I go home and work out with Dad. Well, we all know the running that's in basketball. Basketball season, my freshman year, over the course of 4 months, I went from 160 to 194. I did not grow a bit of height, and I was far leaner at the end of basketball season than I was at the start. I was eating hamburgers, protein shakes made with chocolate milk, Nesquik, right? Carnation instant breakfasts, not healthy, not good calories. I was having the equivalent of probably 6 to 7 sandwiches a day throughout the day that were either peanut butter and jelly, egg salad, bologna of all things. Right?
Oh, I forgot my bologna sandwiches.
Right. But here's the deal. And then Pops would pick me up after basketball and be like, hey, we're driving by Wendy's on the way home. You're going to get your 2 double doubles. Then you're going to go home and eat dinner, whatever Mama Evans made. And then we're having 2 burgers and a protein shake before we go to bed. Brother, we didn't put on an ounce of fat. So people want to spew out all this nutritional education the books say. How many doctors do we have now, more and more, leaving the medical field because they realize what they were sold in medical school is a bunch of crap. And now they're trying to heal people with food because food is medicine. I mean, I can't tell you, every day it feels like some other board certified physician is leaving the practice, turning carnivore, doing something with food to help people get healthy. All these statistics, they're just that crap. I was on NFL TV, you know this, for 8 years. You can take a stat and twist it to mean anything you want. It doesn't make it true, right? It is. We got people arguing whether.
Let me stop you again. Let me stop you, because if you guys out there and girls out there, listen, you don't want to eat this way, don't eat this way. You don't want to do this. You tiptoe. You want to tiptoe through life. I am fine with that. I am talking to the one kid out there. And I think Heath is saying, if one kid comes up to me and says, I am on the stage now, I am in the NFL now, I am this now because of that conversation, I'm good. So for anybody out there that goes, this is not good for the majority. Absolutely. Absolutely. It's not. Lifting is not good for the majority because most people don't know how to lift right. We are talking to those people that really want to go, I want to be extraordinary. I would like to be a starter in my senior year of football. I want to be a state champ. That's who we're talking to. And I don't know how to tell you guys that I had less than what Heath had. I still got there. Heath had better than I had. He still got there. And the guys today, you guys all have better than what both of us had. You can all do this. And so keep going, Heath. I just wanted you guys, because I think they're going to go, well, I'm not talking to that kid.
Yeah. Well, and listen, we're also not talking to the 35-year-old man, and we might not even be talking to the 28-year-old man. We're talking to the father or the mother of the son that's 14, 15, 16, 17, that's healthy, that has some aspirations to do something great in wrestling, powerlifting, football, baseball,
track,
whatever. Listen, the athletes I train, listen, through our Bethesda Ranch ministry, I'm training a few fatherless athletes right now. All right. These kids, besides their Titan burritos that they freaking love, shout out to Todd at Icon Meals for hooking these boys up and trying to get them fed. I am stuffing their face the same way with all the calories that Mike and I stuffed our face with. For Mikey, 35 years ago, for me, 25 years ago, this stuff works. Yes. Is our bread less healthy now than it was 25 years ago? Yes.
What's wrong with Wonder Bread?
They're absolutely nothing. It did wonders for us, right? But listen, if you want to go the healthier route, great. But these kids need to be eating. The best thing for your kids, fathers, if you're listening, force them to do hard things. Marriage is hard. Parenting is hard. Successful business is hard. Getting fired from NFL Network is hard and embarrassing. Crap is going to punch you in the face in life. What are you going to do? If you can't learn how to eat, you think you're going to push through hard times with your family? No, you're going to quit. Man, we need men teaching their sons and their daughters. Ava and Naomi, tough as nails. So we're not talking to the 35-year-old man saying to go out and eat a whole bunch of peanut butter and gel and everything else. No, use your common sense. But these young men, when their hormone panels are through the roof, push them. I've yet to meet a hungry, well-fed, motivated 14, 15, 16-year-old that I can overtrain.
All right, I'm gonna hold you there for again because I agree with you, and I am trying to take everything I learned as a young kid and all the incredible coaches. We've both been lucky with coaches, so I'm trying to take all that I learned from my coaches and teach Titan and feed him that way. And one of the things is it's great that you and me are friends with. Well, you're great friends with Jordan, but I talked to Jordan, and I've used his knowledge personally, used it selfishly, used it to help me get Mona ready for pregnancy, during pregnancy, and after, and feeding Titan. And we're gonna talk to him next week, so you guys can sit in on that and watch that. But the reason why I say that is because we're not saying this because we did this and it worked for us. We're saying this because it worked for us and the guys that you've been in the locker room with, the guys I've been on stage with. And it's also working well with Titan and also Jordan's son. I want to show you guys all a picture of what Heath and I looked like back in the day. There's the big fullback, or were you a running back at that point? That was what you were considered, right?
Yeah, I was about 223 there, and I was definitely a tailback. I wasn't trying to block nobody.
Well, question then, start of camp, just wait a minute. Were you guys still doing 2-a-days? Was that a lot? Okay, so that I love it. Nothing's worse than 2-a-days, right?
Yeah, 3-a-days.
Oh, okay, that's growing up in I guess Florida is 3-a-days, but we did 2-a-days, and didn't matter how much training you did in the off season, you still threw up at practice. And so here's me in high school as well. And again, Heath was a savage. On the left is me in high school. And the reason why these are two, because these are both the same body weight from high school to this was a couple years ago. And so I lost weight during football, regardless of the amount that I was eating. I still lost weight during football season. And did you or not?
Oh, yeah. I purposely went in, like even my senior year, I went in, I started camp at about 228, 229, and then ended up playing that year about 223, 224, carry that extra weight. And then when it drops, you get even faster during the season. And that was even in NFL training camps.
So 20-ish, because I would, same. I 275, I would go in and I would play probably 250, 255 was my football speed rate.
Yeah, I'd only drop about 3 or 4 pounds each year. You were running off all that trend weight and all that other stuff you were doing.
Exactly. Was Trent around in the early 80s?
Jeff, what was it? It was a D-ball?
D-ball, Anavar. But it was so cool to also realize that amount that we were eating, we were still burning it off because of the exercise itself. And so we couldn't estimate or even guesstimate how much to take in, where you guys are at a point now with Jordan's son where he's at 10,000 calories and he's improving and improving and improving. And so it's cool to see the duck eggs, which
Yeah.
I talked about 15 years ago, how good they are. And I love that somebody as educated and experienced as Jordan is on the same page as me going, you're right. It's great. Duck eggs are tenfold.
Well, and people think fats and proteins, which they are far superior, but even the cholesterol that helps drive a healthy hormone panel. Listen, this information's been around for forever. It's just we listen to people pushing their marketing propaganda to sell the next fad vegan diet, whatever it is. And yet, what did Franco build his body on? What did Arnold build his body on? Like this stuff, it ain't hard to research. These boys were eating steak and eggs.
Yeah.
Right? The human body has not changed. Culture changed. We've gotten better.
I think you guys got to understand that, yes, your body changes with age, and carbohydrates is one of the things that changes a lot for a lot of people. Not everybody. Again, I don't think any two people are the same, and not everybody reacts the same. But yes, as a youngster, carbohydrates is such an important thing. And it crushes my soul to hear parents saying my son doesn't eat carbs, when I know that that's one of those things where carbohydrates react differently as you get older, depending on how you are as an individual and how you've kept your health going as an individual.
Maybe. Yeah.
But it's one of those things, the body utilizes carbs so well as you are young. This is not something that you can argue about. That's just how it is. When you're a kid, you could eat the hamburgers, the breads and everything, and you're fine. And maybe, yes, when you get to 40, 50, and 60, and you have the bread and you feel like you want to shut down. Again, we're talking about the kids. Don't let them run away from certain foods. Try to feed them as healthy as you possibly can, but it should not be a deficit, and it should not be a bodybuilding diet to where they're just always trying to be ripped. That's the growing stage. It is the growing stage, and I think we both here are two people that have done this well enough.
You know, Christy and I work with extremely overweight women.
Yep.
They all come to us. Oh, I'm insulin resistance. Oh, I have PCOS. Oh, I have fibromyalgia. Oh, I have autoimmune, right? What happens after we get their digestive tract healthy? What happens when they're down 100 pounds? They eat carbs just fine. They process carbs perfectly. I have a bank executive in Delaware. Guy was going on 50, wanted to change his life. He calls me, hey, I want some Christian help, but I want you to help me get in shape too. Done deal. All right. We just wrapped up month 5. His blood panel is perfect after 120 days. Couldn't digest carbs, constantly irritated, couldn't sleep. What happens? We clean up his diet. We get him active. We get him sleeping. We get him hydrated. We get him focused on doing the right things for his wife and his two boys. This boy's hormone panel, literally in 120 days, he looks like a different human being. He's no more pre-diabetic. He's all from cholesterol to fatty acids to liver functionality, kidney functionality. He looks like a healthy 25-year-old dude. We did that in 120 days. People want to talk all this nonsense because everyone's trying to sell something, trying to push something.
Yeah, please don't take offense about my statement about carbohydrates. I'm just, there's
not
got
at
to be
all.
somebody that says you carbohydrates. And here's the thing. You can argue the point. They can argue the point about carbohydrates, but nobody's going to argue the point of if you're a healthy person and you're doing your things and you continue to live that healthy lifestyle, you can have carbohydrates. And please don't be one of these people to say, oh no, skip it. No carbs ever.
Well, and if you're a highly competitive athlete, there is some new data coming out. I still it's hard because listen, I'm not getting back in an NFL field. You and I aren't getting in a UFC ring. But even there's new data that talks about maybe these UFC guys don't need carbs. You and I are still of the belief that I don't know how you're going to be that high level of a competitor, that type of energy expense, and pull it solely from steak and eggs. Maybe they're doing it. I don't know. But why people don't digest food, whether it's fats, proteins, or carbs, it's not because of the carbohydrate or because of the fat. It's because the person's unhealthy. And what will heal that person, by God's grace, is food. Healthy amounts, healthy times, healthy rest, healthy hydration. Everyone wants to throw someone on some pill, some doctor that knows nothing. Chrissy tells us all the time, these doctors, you know how much nutritional training they take in their 3 years of medical education? Now it's 0. right? It used to have a quarter session of like 6 to 8 weeks of a nutrition course that was like from the 60s. Why are so many people unhealthy? We eat unhealthy food, right? We eat on unhealthy times, unhealthy amounts. It's nonsense. And people just,
With that being said, let's remove for a second here the concept of, because I get a lot of people and it confuses me. I understand that a lot of people want to compete, but most people only compete, well, not even most, a small percentage compete once in a lifetime. And I think even though we were talking about how to raise these kids as athletes and how to raise them the best we possibly can, for most of you, you probably won't be an athlete for very long or competitor for very long, but you are going to live for quite a while.
mm,
And I think both me and Heath can agree that we want you to be having a healthy relationship with food. And that comes off moderate exercise. It doesn't come off the 7 days a week training and no days off and cardio every single day. It comes off a moderate training and eating a healthy meal plan for a lifetime. And that's how we should do it. And I want to remove the experts or the athletes from that aspect of it and just say anybody and everybody. This is something that we are talking to, and it's a percentage of. Does that make sense to you? Because
absolutely.
the people you work with come to, a lot of them are very overweight.
Yeah. I mean,
And they're just trying to get back on track.
yeah. Anthony was a 48-year-old bank president in Delaware. His son had found me on Instagram, probably through you, and hits me up and says, "Hey, I need help." So I help him. But he hadn't played athletics since his senior year of high school. He'd been sitting on his butt running a bank for the last 22 years, right? And so the guy just had some discipline and some drive. And so he reached out and asked for help from someone who knew how to do it. But the funny thing is, Mikey, and you've heard this 1,000 times with your clients, all his doctors were telling him, don't do what I'm telling him to do. Don't do it. You know, I've had this guy on more meat, more dark chicken, more eggs that he thought he's literally, are you sure? Are you sure? I had to put him on the phone with Dr. Richardson just to assure him, you know, for y'all listening, Dr. Richardson is like my second dad. He's a cardiologist. He's a heart doctor in Birmingham, Alabama. He's almost 70. He's yoked. He's ripped. Lives.
They're going to see him. We got him on in 2 weeks.
I love it. You know,
yeah.
And so there's a wealth of knowledge and self-education, right? And I think that's where you and I have so benefited. We've been around a lot of greats. You've lost count of the bosses in your business that you got to be around at a young age, right? But even what they gave you, you took and tested the waters. You and I somehow were kind of like, okay, we'll try it, but we're going to make sure this works too, right? People just take information now because it comes from some blue check on some social media website like it's gold, and it's most of the time garbage. It hasn't been tried and tested. It hasn't been tested to see if it's true. And so this is the benefit of following people that have been there, done that.
Yeah, I agree with Heath. Make sure that when you do get the blue check mark, the individual has done the path that you're thinking about. And that's why your wife is somebody that I really admire more than most nutritionists out there. More degrees, BAs in nutrition and stuff like that. Your wife is, because she's somebody that came from one place, got to another place, pretty much on her own and studying, and then stayed there and maintained it, which most people can't do. So it's an impressive thing. And the people you're helping it's huge. So you guys check out Heath Evans on social media. We will get you links to them and what they're doing. But it's, again, this is for you parents out there. If you're going to raise your daughter or son, and please do not starve them. Please feed them. Do not start running away from food or treating them that they are the same as you when it comes to food, and you're in your 30s, 40s, or 50s. Heath, you good? You got any final words, my friend? We got any final video from Heath?
Hey, for those of y'all that
we got a little bench press action.
For those of y'all that love the Mike O'Hearn, Heath Evans friendship, I've got a good one coming for you, real soon.
Boy,
we'll see if Mike will collab with me.
I will.
I'm still looking for the next post of the fourth to last time I was allowed to babysit Tight No Hurt. So
just so you know, I think your posts get more traction than anything I put up on my page. So yeah, I keep them coming.
Listen, Instagram loves squashing truth. Apparently they love pushing propaganda because that's all I push when I'm busting your chops.
I love it. Thanks for hanging today, brother.
Yeah, buddy. Love you, man. Jeff, I kind of like you a little bit.
He's making you look good.
That's true. That's true. Bye, Mona. Bye, Titan.
They're already out. Bye, kid. He's a freaking savage. I love this guy. And again, it's because of what he did as a youngster. And remember when he said earlier in the interview, and I hopefully we find this clip from the comedian, his team, when he played in high school, there's a famous comedian out there today, and Heath was on his show, and Heath didn't even know Tom Segura?
Yeah, Tom Segura.
Tom Segura. So you guys probably know who that is. And so we'll try to find this clip for you. But Tom played football. He looks like a good sized guy himself. And they were going to play Heath's high school football team. And they weren't worried about the team, but everybody on the other schools all around the state were always worried about this guy, Heath Evans. And so it's just, they should have been, because he went on to play college and go on to the pros for 10 years, which I don't know if you guys know this, average, just get to the pros is something, but to be there, the average is 1.5 to 2 years now. And this guy did it times 5. So that's a workhorse. Mostly when I think half the teams now have fullbacks during the time he was playing. So again, it's a position that wasn't really utilized. So great guy, a lot of information there. And again, he's not going to mislead you. And he's here just like anybody else I talked to on the Mike O'Hearn show. He's here to help and try to give you some advice that really goes above the person pushing the nutrition plan because of some kind of, I guess, profit. We think the basics work. The basic exercises work. The basic nutrition works. Not running away from certain foods where you kind of mimic or limit your availability to where later on you just go back to everything and lose what you've worked so hard for. Hopefully you guys like this one. I know this might have rubbed some feathers, mostly because when you talk about food, it seems like it's a very cult kind of mentality now. If you like red meat, I don't like you. If you like carbs, I don't like you. Food is medicine, guys. And again, I'll be the first to say that all food, I think, is incredible and has the place in it. And that's even cakes and ice cream and donuts has a place for you if it's something that you can do and celebrate with. Just do it right. Have fun with this. It's a healthy lifestyle. Again, I'm a guy closing in on 60, and I've been able to do this since I was 9 and in the magazines in the 80s. And I'm still here doing this stuff, bringing you information. And again, I'm going to keep bringing you the information, that those conversations I had with the greats from Bill Pearl back in the 60s and 70s. But I got to meet him and train with him when I was a young teenager. So there's so many. I got to talk about Steve Reeves, Bill Pearl, and other greats. I did talk about Jordan Rubin. We're going to be having him on the show here. And Dr. Richards is a cardiologist, a highly, I guess you would call celebrity cardiologist, you would say. So we're going to talk about heart health and organs. That's it for me today. That was a lot. Take it in. If you guys want to touch base with me, you guys know where to get a hold of me over on my website. Hang loose. We'll pose it out for the last time. Bye, guys.